Okay, guys, well, it's been a while since I started working on this rover. I had a few vehicles come in I had to take care of again, and just put a 331 stroker out the door. As you can see, I've got the engine pulled out, and I've already started, I've got it completely tore apart, started cleaning on it. Cleaned up pretty good. I'm going to clean it up some more, but there's everything else that was in there. Now, if you're going to attempt to do this stuff yourself, hopefully you've got experience, working on engines, but if not, just take your time and pay attention to what you're doing. Now this one, I went ahead and I checked all the sleeves and everything for the pistons, and everything was okay. I didn't have too bad of a ridge ream, so we're just doing a re-ring kit on this one. New bearings, rings, stuff like that. But if you're going to do this stuff yourself, there's a few things you need to have. Where this is all aluminum, and you heat cycle it up through, running the vehicle, if you're going to tear this apart and everything's cooled down, and the cooler outside it is, the worse it's going to be for you. Invest in a little torch. I know you're thinking aluminum and heat, just get you something like that, because you're going to need it on these bolts. Your starter bolts, or their Allen head bolts, they will strip out. I actually stripped one out down here, so we're going to change those out too, but put a little bit of heat to them before you start trying to pull them loose. You don't want to get it too hot where it's glowing red, but you want to get it hot so it'll loosen up from the aluminum. Same thing with your exhaust bolts. Mine wasn't that bad. I didn't have to put heat to those, but the starter bolts I did. And the same thing with the head bolts. If you're having trouble getting those out, put a little bit of heat to them. Not a whole lot. You don't want to ruin the aluminum or warp it or anything like that. Put a little bit of heat to them. It'll make it a lot easier coming out. And then just throw those bolts away because you don't want to reuse those. I said the head gasket kit that I recommend getting is through roverparts.com, and they give you new head bolts with it, and it's $200 I think for the set, and then you got to buy the conversion set for the oil pan, stuff like that. But you'll have about $250 just in gaskets, and like I said, it'll come with new head bolts, and then you got your bearings and your rings, stuff like that. And that's where your money's going to start going, in the bearings and the rings. You can buy that stuff off of eBay. I wouldn't get the gasket, stuff like that. I'd get somebody known. Plus, I've seen on eBay those gaskets for the top sets going for almost $200, and they don't come with the head bolts. It was like $192 and some change plus tax for the top gaskets, and they gave me head bolts. And it comes with every gasket you need for the top end. To spend the extra money and get the good stuff. As far as bearings and rings off eBay, they are a lot cheaper on eBay, but from past experience in using those, they're not exact. They're not perfect. You might get one that has a few nicks in there. And what they are is a lot of people get factory rejects. They're still good enough to use, but they're not good enough to pass quality inspection. I know they say that, they buy it in bulk and they get great deals on it, but how are you going to get, like piston rings, a good set's $230, I think. How are you going to get almost $200 off or retail buying it in bulk? It's maybe $100 off, I can see, but not, because I've seen them on there going for $80 for the set. Now, if you want to go that route, if you have to go that route, go for it. But this isn't something that you want to half-ass and put shit in, because these engines aren't that great anyway, but spend the money and get the good stuff. So I'm going to keep cleaning this thing up, and probably the next day or so I'm going to start doing the reassemble, and I'll video that, give you guys a little help. And also, if you need you got some questions on what I had to do to get this thing out, bolts that you're having problems with, anything like that, message me or comment or whatever you got to do, and I'll help you out the best way that I can. But so I got a little bit more cleaning up to do on this one. And there's all the pistons. Now these wasn't marked when I pulled them out. Usually they'll be stamped, 1, 2, 3, 4, so you know which cylinder to put them in. So if yours aren't marked, pull one out, and if you don't see a number on there saying which cylinder it goes to, get you a paint pen or a punch, something so you can mark those with, put a number on there. I just used a paint pen on mine, and when I go putting it back together, I'll clean the paint off there. That's not something you want inside the engine anyway, but that's just for my help, so I know which one goes where. Now, if I was using new pistons and everything, it wouldn't really matter, because by the time the crank's turned and everything, it's going to be pretty much a brand new setup, and get the engine honed out and re-sleeved or bored out, whatever you got to do, then it doesn't matter which one goes where as long as everything gets changed out. But this one, I didn't need to bore out. I just honed it out, and it came out pretty good. I had good clearance. The crank was pretty good, so I'm getting that one polished. I mic'd it and everything was okay on it, so it's just going to get a polishing and go back in there with standards. Let's see. That's pretty much it on this one right now. Like I said, once I start putting it back together, I'll do the videos and show you what I've done and how I've done it. And because most engines you go by torque, and there's actually a lot of information out there on these that say torque them down, like your main bolts down, I think 65, stuff like that. These, Rover does not recommend you use a torque wrench on these. Not when you finish torquing. You use a torque wrench to get it down so far, and then once you get past that, you got to keep going a little bit. As you go through 2 stages of 90-degree turns, which everybody knows that's a quarter turn. Do it the way Rover recommends it. Don't, because you don't want to over torque it. You will screw up majorly if you over torque that. But that's what I've got so far. Got my other head cleaned up. I don't know if you remember in the videos how dirty that was, but there's the other one, and I still got a little bit more cleaning to do. I'm not getting these ones tanked. Save a little bit of money on there. Basically what I did was scrubbed everything down with mineral spirits. That's all I've used on that. Nothing but a nylon brush and mineral spirits. And that block, if you remember how filthy it was in the first video, that's just 1 hour worth of scrubbing with mineral spirits and nylon brush. And it come out, I mean, that's good enough to go back in, but I'm going to clean it up a little bit better. Try and get it looking like brand new aluminum. And then I'll probably shoot some more clear coat over it to help protect it. Also, I painted everything. Repainted everything that was black. Now this one over here has already got clear coat. The oil pan's already got clear coat on it. And I got my pile of top end stuff for this thing sitting over there. But if you guys are going to paint anything on here, obviously you want to prime everything before you put a color on it. It'll help fill in all the voids and all the nicks and stuff like that. But I'm just going with the black, the original, make it look the way it was when it's brand new. And what I did was, that's actually a black primer, nothing more. I cleaned everything up good, and dried everything off, and that's the primer that I use every time I rebuild my engines, and it's the best stuff that I've found so far that I've used, and that's that Rust-Oleum grill primer. And this is good for 1200 degrees. And this is what I use on every engine I do. I actually like it better than the Duplicolor engine primers. Plus, it's rated for 1200 degrees, unless you get the exhaust primer, which is about $12 a can. You're only good for 500 degrees. And that grill paint, you can actually get it from Walmart. That's where I buy mine from. And it's only about $4 a can. And one can, I've done 2.5 engines with one can. So, and then once that dries, you can put your color on it. But for this stuff, that's nice, shiny, glossy. That's just clear coated over the primer. That's it. So, I mean, the primer's good stuff. It's nice and thick. It fills in a lot of stuff. There's actually a lot of paint missing off of this where the powder coated it was peeling off. But I mean, with this primer, you can't even see it no more. And I'm going to say that it dries out flat black. Like this stuff right here has not been cleared yet. And you can see a bit of a difference in that compared to the oil pan, which is clear coated. If you want to go that route, that's what I do. Just use that grill primer, $4 compared to $12. It can get you a can of clear coat to go on top there. Now the clear coat, you're kind of at the mercy of the $10 can, but no, Rust-Oleum again, engine enamel. I think it's about $10 a can, but one can of that will go a long, long ways. So. Well, that's what I've got so far. Like I said, next day or so, well, I'll video the reassembly and stuff like that. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, need help, whatever, message me, comment, whatever you gotta do, and I'll do what I can to help you out. As I said, if it's your first time working on an engine like this, I'll be more than happy to help you out and let you know my tricks, what not to do. Just like I said, there's very little room for error on this engine with the aluminum. And you always want to check every one of your sleeves and then make sure none of these are slipped. Because if those are slipped, you may as well junk it, because it costs too much money to re-sleeve them. The top hat sleeves are good, but you know, once it gives out, you run that risk again. But you can run your fingers over them and feel for a lip. It's going to have a lip on there, but if it's a slipped sleeve, it'll stop your finger. And you'll also see damage on the bottom of the head and gasket, stuff like that. So just pay attention to it, and you'll be all right. Let me know if you need any help, and I'll post back with your reassembly.